What is up, y'all? Welcome back to an episode of the Two Game Podcast. We are here to recap and break down episode number 7. Let's jump into it. So, as a child, Oz is resentful of the attention that his mother gives to his brothers Jack and Benny. After a game of hide and seek, Oz leaves his brothers trapped inside an overflowing sewer tunnel where they drown. In the present, Oz returns to his apartment and finds an injured Vic who reveals that Sophia has kidnapped Francis. Vic escapes right before Maroni arrives with his men. Maroni beats Oz and has Oz take him to his underground lair. Oz and his men stage an ambush, and Maroni dies of a heart attack while fighting Oz. Meanwhile, Sophia has rushed to interrogate Francis about Oz's weaknesses and visits Gia after learning she intends to cooperate with the police. Disillusioned after seeing the pain she has caused Gia, Sophia considers accepting Oz's ultimatum to trade Francis for his bliss supply, but Rush convinces her to go through with her desire to see Oz suffer. During the trade, Sophia sends in a bomb that destroys Oz's base and kills his entire crew. Oz survives and resurfaces only to be knocked out by a detective. That Sophia bribed. This episode was really good, I think. Up until now, for the first 6 episodes, I was genuinely curious, would we get a flashback, episode or sequence kind of explaining what happened to Oz prior to the Batman and prior to this show? And we finally got that. And to me, this show can't miss, like, whatsoever. I think they have handled these flashback sequences very, very well. As I have mentioned in previous reviews, I have said that I'm not a huge fan of like flashback sequences, especially like early on in the series. I mean, what was it, episode 2 and 3 that they focused on Vic and Sophia? And I thought they knocked both of those episodes out of the park. And typically, I'm not a huge fan of early on flashback sequences because we really haven't gotten to know those characters. But the fact that now we're at episode 7 and we finally get some of the backstory for Oz, I think was just masterfully done. I think this was the perfect time to kind of go back and see what happened to Oz, what happened to his brothers and his mom and everything prior to this universe coming to light. And they've been dropping breadcrumbs all season long up until now, and you kind of know what's coming as these scenes unfold, but it still hits you in the feels regardless because they have made you care for these characters in the first 6 episodes. And while I do love the flashback sequences for this episode, and it does hit you in the feels for sure, some of the highlights of this episode actually involve Francis and Sophia. I have really enjoyed the fact that the women in this show have not really been held back, especially when it comes to like conversations with each other. Like, they are legitimately vicious towards each other, and I absolutely love it. Now, the scenes with Francis and Sophia in particular for this episode are just really, really great because they're going back and forth. They're not bullshitting each other, and then when it comes in their relationships to other characters, they're not bullshitting those characters either. Francis is absolutely vulnerable here and basically at the mercy of Sophia, but she still talks her shit to Sophia to kind of rattle her. Regardless of what happens to her, she's going to talk her shit. And I respect the hell out of that. And I love her character even more in the fact that, she's not going to back down regardless if her life is at risk here. But the scene between Sophia and Francis here, one of my favorite scenes of the first 7 episodes that I have seen for sure. Them trading barbs, Francis seems like she has kind of like the upper hand here in like the shit talking department. And then Sophia just ever so slightly mentions her dead boys. And it's like Francis has a full on dementia moment that Sophia picks up on. The writing, the acting, so fucking good here, guys. So fucking good. And then we're also getting more depth and complexity to Sophia's character. She's struggling with being like the head of this family and whether or not she just wants to be free from it all. But she's conflicted because she also wants Oz to suffer. So it seems like her overall plan right now is to just kill Oz and be done with it, not necessarily running the family. I love that we're getting some more complexity, some more depth with her character. It's not just this basic, okay, we're just going to do this and she's a one note villain like typical Marvel movies. No, she actually has some depth to her character, and she's conflicted with a lot of different things. So I'm going to end this episode with one question, and I know I may have mentioned it on the last episode. I haven't once thought about Batman in this show. Like, while I'm watching it, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, is Batman going to show up on the next scene? Or, Batman really would have shown up here, or something along those lines, okay? I haven't really thought about him unless it's after the episode and I'm thinking kind of about the series at large for these reviews. And now that we've had this huge explosion underground, there's kind of some chaos in the streets. My question is, where is Batman in all of this now? Because I feel like, yeah, granted it's during the day, but I feel like from what we've seen at the end of the Batman to where we are now, like, I feel like Batman would be at ground zero for this explosion. I'm not entirely sure that this would just be completely unnoticed. Now, he could be elsewhere in the city doing other shit. I don't know. But I feel like Batman would be clued in on some of this stuff that's going on here. But that's just me. Legitimately, the only time that I've thought about that during the series, that I'm like, okay, Batman definitely would have known about this. But at the same time, if you want to look at it from a different perspective, I guess, it's the fact that, okay, maybe he's so busy with other things, he's not really focused on the dealings of the mob world, underground and whatnot. But I don't know if I would believe that necessarily. But that is a little caveat to my little minor complaint. But guys, what have you thought about episode 7 and this series at large? What do you think about Batman not knowing about this explosion? I mean, we haven't seen the finale yet, so I don't know if he'll even show up at that point. But guys, that's going to be it for me. I will catch y'all next time on another episode. Laters.